It's always important to come to a common definition of leadership because there are many. But in this particular training, we're going to use the one from Daniel Goleman, who is an internationally renowned psychologist and author of Emotional Intelligence, a book that provided a new way of thinking about leadership. And what Daniel Goleman said is that leadership is influencing people to take action. In the workplace, leadership is the art of getting work done through other people. And leadership can be widely distributed within an organization. Most everyone leads at some time or another, if not all the time. And it's highly situational. Anyone might step forward to leave given the right circumstances. I like this particular definition because it really gives the idea, which I think is a critical idea for librarians and library staff to understand, that everybody needs to think of themselves as leaders and to figure out when are those opportunities in the situations that they might step forward and provide leadership for a particular situation in the library. There's often a lot of questions about the difference between management and leadership. And I like this definition from Grace Hurray Hopper, who was a U.S. computer programmer. I like this definition from Grace Murray Hopper, who was a U.S. computer programmer. She said, "You manage things, you lead people." And I think that's the key of the particular training. We're really focusing on people and not worried so much about the resources and the things that need to happen in the library. But I also want to say that I think that all leaders must be managers and all managers must be leaders. It's impossible to be a leader without also being a fairly decent manager because actually you can lead, but there won't be anybody following you or knowing what's happening. And if you're only a manager, then you're not going to be able to give people the broad vision of where they're going, so you're not going to be as influential in your leadership. Another way to think about management and leadership is to look at this particular chart that we have up. And we have here listed 3 categories: the main task, and what does it mean under management, and what does it mean under leadership. So if the main task is what needs to be done, the manager is going to say, how am I going to get this done? And the leader is going to say, why and for whom? If the main task is to create a network of relationships to accomplish an agenda, the manager is going to say, how do I organize this? Who are the people that I need to involve? What are the resources in the plan? The leader is going to say, what is the right person to take on this particular task? If the main task is to ensure that a job gets done, the manager is going to look at plans, timelines, and assessment. The leader is going to say, what's going to motivate people? How do we reward achievements and successes? Just to mention here, and to take as an aside to the trainers, this is an area that causes some confusion. You don't want to spend a lot of time talking about the difference between management and leadership, but more you just want to make the point that they're both important, but they go hand in hand. These 2 slides usually takes care of most of the questions around this particular issue. I would urge you, though, if your participants want to go more into depth in this, say that this is not what you're going to be discussing during this particular training, and that you might come back to them with some ideas of suggestions of articles that they can look at in the future. So Daniel Goleman did a lot of research and found that leaders use 6 styles, and each springs from a different component of emotional intelligence. Everyone shows that many of these different styles, but everybody shows some that are stronger than others. And those styles are commanding, visionary, affiliative, democratic, pace-setting, and coaching. And immediately when we start to list these styles, people start thinking, well, one style must be better than another style. In fact, in a very healthy organization, all of these styles must be present in different situations. And all of us are going to show 1 or 2 of these styles on a regular basis. And we're going to be stronger in those particular styles, but may have also the capability to show some of the other styles. So let's talk about those. Commanding. This is the person in your organization who demands immediate compliance. They want to tell you what to do, and they want you to do it immediately. They want to achieve, they take initiative, they have a lot of self-control. This style works best in a crisis, to make an immediate decision or to work with a problem employee. For example, if you have a fire in your building, this is exactly the kind of style that you need. Somebody who's going to organize everybody, make sure everybody's safe, get them out the door, knows what to do. The weaknesses of this particular style is that sometimes individuals can feel like their opinions don't matter and they're not treated with a lot of respect. One of the questions you might want to ask your group at this point, trainers, is do you know anybody that has this particular style? Just to get a showing of hands to see how many people have encountered commanding style before. The visionary style. This is the style that really mobilizes people towards a vision. Kind of come with me and we're going to explore where we can take this library, how we can transform this library. They show a lot of self-confidence, a lot of empathy. They tend to be change agents within their organization. This style works best when a new vision and a clear direction is needed. Let's say that you feel like you need to rethink how your library is delivering services to the users in your community. Somebody with a visionary style would be great to have in your organization at that point. The problem with visionaries is that sometimes they have trouble communicating their vision clearly, and people know that there's a vision, but they're not exactly sure how to describe the vision, and they're not exactly sure what they should be doing with that vision. Affiliative style is a style that creates harmony and builds emotional bonds. For this style, people come first. They think about empathy, about building relationships, about communication. They work best to resolve conflicts on a team and to motivate people during stressful circumstances. They're all about how do we get a group of people together to solve the problems in this library? How do we make this library a better place to work? Some of the problems with being an affiliative leader is that they tend to avoid conflict and upsetting situations because they really want people to be working together in peace, and they don't really like it when there's a lot of conflict. The democratic style. This style of leader forges consensus through participation. They ask a lot of questions like, what do you think? Have you heard from others? Is this the right approach? They like collaboration, team leadership, communication. And this style works best to build buy-in or consensus or to get valuable input from employees. A weakness of this style is that sometimes they spend more time listening than they actually do acting or taking action, so that you may spend a lot of time discussing a particular problem but never actually get to resolving the problem. Pace-setting style. This is a style that sets very high standards for performance. Do as I do now. This style likes to work with a team that performs equally as well as they do. They're very conscientious. They like to achieve. They take a lot of initiatives. They really have in mind where they want to be and at what time, and they're moving pretty quickly to get done what they want to get done. One of the weaknesses is that they don't always recognize the emotion of others. So if they've been working nonstop on an activity for a week and they've been working long hours, they may not recognize that people on their team are tired or need to go home for family functions. That's not as important to them. What's important is getting the job done. The last style is the coaching style. And this style of leader likes to develop people for the future. They like to suggest that people try certain approaches. They might say, try this, or have you thought about this? They like developing others, empathy, and self-awareness. This work style works best when helping an employee improve performance or develop long-term strengths. Part of the problem with this style may be you're helping the employee, but the employee do they ever finish what they're supposed to do, or do they achieve it in the way that needs to be achieved in the library? So actually making demands about how quickly people should move is harder sometimes for people with a coaching style.